Marked by fate, doomed by prophecy, time is running out for mankind. Released on this day in horror movie history was the 1995 fantasy horror, The Prophecy. So stab that subscribe button and welcome to Slasher Sports Cinema. So if you're digging this content, the biggest favor you could do for me is to keep watching. At the end of this video, you'll get some great suggestions, but check out some of my recent videos on blockbuster films like The Predator or lesser known bangers like Dead Heat, RIP Treat Williams. But today's horror story takes place at the end of a bizarre murder case where LA homicide detective Thomas Daggett discovers a lethal heavenly prophecy now being fulfilled on Earth. In his fight to stop the forces of evil, he finds an unlikely ally in an elementary school teacher. And good Lord, if I had an elementary school teacher who looked like Virginia Madsen, she'd have ended up on the news, Daddy, and I'm not playing. This film was directed by Gregory Wyden. It's the only film he ever directed. He directed The Prophecy and called it a day. All right, but listen, fantastic writer. Anything to do with the Highlander series or The Prophecy, he's getting writing credit on it. So all the sequels that they spawned, that's all him. Greg Wyden is a hell of a writer. So he wrote and directed this film. But he has some other bangers. Backdraft, for example. Come on, Backdraft. I mean, he wrote that film basically with the basis that he worked as a firefighter for a handful of years. He witnessed a good friend killed by an explosive backdraft, which became the basis for that. I would hate to imagine what he saw to get Highlander out of his head. But this film stars Christopher Walken. If you wonder where those impressions come from, when you see comedians like Kevin Pollak and Jay Moore doing Chris Walken, it is clear because Walken does some random shit in this film. I remember one scene, it just cuts to him holding a trumpet up to some kid's mouth and saying, "Just blow." I don't have a Chris Walken impression. Okay. I need to see your Christopher Walken impressions. Like, make a video, post it to Twitter or Instagram, and tag me at Billy Graves SSC. I need to see him. So, does your mother sew? Bang! Get her to sew that. I just told you I don't have a Chris Walken impression. Why are you judging me? Why are you judging me? Okay? There's no reason for you to judge me. You don't have one either. And if you do, I dare you to show me on Twitter or on Instagram at Billy Graves SSC. Now, Chris Walken, somewhere along the line, became a beloved member of pop culture. But I feel like it didn't happen until much later in his career. Maybe it was the Fatboy Slim music video for Weapon of Choice, where he was stepping like the showstopper he is. I don't know. His most recognizable roles have come in his later years. Everybody knows the classic lines from Joe Dirt and the mannerisms from The Rundown, and who can forget the iconic SNL skit where he famously needed more cowbell? If for no other reason, watch this one for Christopher Walken, you mealy-mouthed bastards. But the highlight of The Prophecy is the dialogue. There are too many occasions when Christopher Walken delivers profound monologues. He says, "I'm an angel. I kill firstborns while their mamas watch. I turn cities into salt. I even, when I feel like it, rip the souls from little girls. And from now till kingdom come, the only thing you can count on in your existence is never understanding why." My absolute favorite lines from this entire film. It co-stars Elias Koteas. Okay, he plays Detective Daggett, which is a detective-ass name, on par with Joe Friday and Eddie Valiant. He was Casey Jones in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, after that film, I couldn't really ever see him as a straight man. I thought Elias Koteas was like the edgiest dude in the movies as a third grader watching TMNT, for the first time anyway. But The Prophecy was Koteas' first horror film. Wasn't his last, but he's not primarily known as a horror guy. But just watch Skinwalkers or The Haunting in Connecticut or Let Me In. Koteas is that character actor you can lean on. He's a pro's pro. Know how I know? Because since 2014, he's been in 3 films that were nominated for Best Picture. I haven't been in any that were nominated even once. So no matter how you feel about the Oscars, and I'm not thrilled with them, but Atlantic City, The Thin Red Line, and Benjamin fucking Button all got those nominations. Elias Koteas is that dude. I want you to ask your fellow horror fans, just lean over and ask them. Get your lips real close to their ears, okay? And you ask them, who's your favorite scream queen? Who's your favorite lady from the horror movies? Okay, I want you to listen to all those Jamie Lee Curtis and Heather Langenkamps and Nev Campbells, or maybe the pretentious ones are going to say Jenna Ortega. But my point is you're not going to hear a lot of love for Virginia Madsen. I call her Gina. Okay, we're on a nickname basis. But from 1987 and Zombie Hyde and 92's Candyman with the great Tony Todd, my man, all the way up to 2022's Pray for the Devil with kind of newcomer to horror Jackie Byers, also another hammer. Virginia Madsen is grossly underrated, and if I may say so, is an absolute jackhammer with those blonde curls and immaculate face. But Daddy in the Prophecy, Jenny Madsen, flipped the script on us and gave us the dark hair, and it makes me feel some kind of way. So Gina Madsen, we roll out the red carpet and welcome you to the Slasher Sports Hammer. This film also stars Eric Stoltz. I spent half the film thinking Eric Stoltz was supposed to be playing Jesus. When you see him, you'll know. But the first time you see him, Cateus walks into his apartment to find Eric Stoltz squatting down on the back of part of a chair. Like this part. He's squatting down on the back of his chair. That's some Jesus shit, right? I mean, if that's not the NYC apartment version of Walking on Water, I don't know what is. I guess he could have done something in a bathtub. I don't know. But Viggo Mortensen plays Lucifer. That's the devil, in case you didn't know. I can lay out and fill your mouth with your mother's feces. No, that's not a threat. That's just a line from this film that came from Viggo Mortensen's mouth. Okay, this role will get overlooked when you think about The Lord of the Rings or A History of Violence or maybe even Hidalgo. But Viggo Mortensen as the goddamn devil, sign me up. You see, I'm not here to help you, little bitch, because I love you or because I care for you, but because two hells is one hell too many, and I can't have that. Another great line from Viggo. It's just another fine example of the gripping dialogue from so many characters in this film. Even though the prophecy gives us this old failed priest turned different profession shtick, the former child of God, with his internal struggles, meeting an actual fallen angels, you got to think. Those religious nuts, they really live for that. I mean, that's got to be their Rocky versus Apollo moment, right? I mean, training all those years and then just never running into any devil's minions. It's a real letdown. But even if the religious horror and suspense isn't your bag, Walken, Cateus, Madsen, Mortensen, they deliver big on the dialogue. If you put down the cell phone, give the little ones a swig of NyQuil, send the wife out to buy some shoes, pay attention to your movie screen, you're going to get a master class in line delivery, and daddy, you will get schooled. So while Greg Weiden may lack in direction, his writing is top notch, and it shows in 1995's The Prophecy. It really shows. You're going to have to rent this one on Vudu or pull a Captain Jack Sparrow. You know what I mean? Because Captain Jack Sparrow was a pirate. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But to do that, that's what you're going to have to do to see The Prophecy. But it will be an hour 38 well spent. So that's going to do it for this episode of Slasher Sports Cinema. Treat yourself to a scary movie tonight, because as the great Clive Barker once said, everybody's a book of blood. Wherever we're opened, we're red. Now go forth, and may you drink the blood of your enemies from the skulls of their children.